Today we're going to talk about the hobby iron and how I use it. I've had this thing lying around my house since the 80s, and if you ever did monocoat balsa, you probably have one of these too. I'm pretty much doing everything out of foam now, but I started to realize that this actually could be very useful in building foam. Now, I use the Adams Ready Board, which is just the cheap stuff. I don't think this will work if you're using the brown foam that Flight Test provides, because it has a coating on it and you'll just melt the coating with this. This is a scrap piece of foam and it's got a score cut on it already to simulate what you would typically see as a rudder. I'm going to use this little stand to keep it up off the table. You can do this on the edge of the table, but I tried filming it like that and it didn't work very well. We're going to start here. We're going to start right in this corner here and just apply some heat. Now my iron is turned all the way up. We're just going to apply some heat and go in a circle until we get about a 3/16 bevel right there. And then we're just going to move slowly down the piece and maintaining that width of that bevel. If you go faster, it will get narrower. If you go slower, it will get wider. Come all the way down to the end. And then you have nice bevel right down the side of that piece. Now we're going to flip it over. This end out here is very thin, so you got to move the iron a lot faster to begin with to keep from just melting it off. And there it goes. It's good. Now I go back to slow. Just going to go right up this edge, closing that edge off. It's a little thin right there, so I'm just going to kind of go back and fix that. Now what we've got is this edge that's completely closed up. I've actually squirted a little bit of the melted foam out, but in the process, because we have compressed this foam, we've made this leading edge a lot more rigid, a lot more durable, and we haven't added any weight to the aircraft at all. Okay, the second technique that I like to do is I like to use this to bevel the hinge. So I'm going to fold this hinge back on itself. This would be my rudder typically, but this works with ailerons too. I'm going to use the same technique. I'm just going to start going in a circle here. I'm going to go a little farther. I'm going to go take this one to about 1/4 of an inch. But this edge, don't close that up much more than a 1/16. So I see that's about where that is. So I'm just going to start going right on across. You can back up if you have to. Highly recommend you start doing this on some scrap foams instead of your models, because it does take a while to develop the technique. Okay, now I've beveled that and I've closed that edge up between the two pieces of paper to within about a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to set this down and I'm just going to deflect it. And that's going to take that foam that's hot, it's going to compress it a little bit more. And now I have a really nice beveled hinge that's covered in paper. Now, don't forget this step. Still want to do this with the glue, because beveling this edge with an iron isn't going to keep the other side from delaminating. If you accidentally put too much glue in and this hinge is very, very stiff, you take your hot iron and you can remelt that glue and then scrape it some more right out of there with the iron. If you've built very many Flight Test designs, you're probably very familiar with this joint. You've got foam removed, and then these two pieces fit together like so. You can get a pretty good corner like this if you're careful. One of the things I like to do is take the hobby iron and just roll this edge over a little bit. we go. Not exactly a 45, just roll it over. Set that down. And you want to put a nice healthy bead of glue right in there, just like you would normally do. Okay, so now with that, see this edge is still lipped up. We're going to fix that with a hobby iron now. Just going to go right back and we're going to remelt that glue. And roll that piece of paper right around the edge. There we go. I'll put the iron down and take a piece of scrap foam. Push that edge down, wipe away any of the excess glue. Then you go back to the iron and clean it up a little bit. Now I've got a nice rounded corner on the bottom of my plane, and the edge of the paper is nicely sealed in the glue. Whether you paint your model or not, that edge almost completely disappears. There are times with foam board planes where you actually want to reinforce this edge with a barbecue skewer. If you're building flight test speed build kits, generally this is going to be concave because they're laser cut. But if you're scratch building with Adams Ready board, you're going to find that this edge is very square and this doesn't fit in it too well. Now you can do it with the tip of the glue gun, like so. But you can also do it with the tip of the iron, like so. Personally, I like doing it with the tip of the iron better. Then you can go back, fill that cavity with glue, and stick your skewer in there. Don't worry about that excess glue. We're going to get that in a second. Come back with the iron. We're just going to roll that edge in, remelting the glue at the same time. Closing that up. Now if you decide to paint this leading edge, that barbecue skewer is going to almost completely disappear and you're going to have a really armor plated edge. However, you have added some weight to the model.
Hi guys, I'm Steve, your Walker Park pilot. I'd like to thank you for watching all the way to the end. I have some other techniques that apply primarily to the Master Series planes, so if you'd like to see more content, just give me a like. Thanks, and have a good day.